Hello everyone, this is Abdul Khan from Course 6 Online. This is my third video on microservices and service fabric series of short video. These videos give you quick intro on what are microservices and developing your first microservice application. And in my last video, I show you the demo of very small microservice application. Now we move on to the some other concept on service fabric. So let's see what is a service fabric, why we need it while we're developing a microservices. So basically, Service Fabric is a distributed system platform that make it easy to package, deploy, and manage scalable and reliable microservices and containers. Developer and administrator can avoid complex infrastructure problems and focus on implementing mission-critical, demanding workload that are scalable, reliable, and manageable. So in my point of view, basically service fabric is a kind of platform or container which provide you the infrastructure and application programming model APIs to developing and hosting and executing your microservices and the container. So this is the container where you can host your microservices, you can manage it, you can deploy it, and you can even scale it, kind of thing. As well as like we see in my previous video, like it provide some basic programming uh, interfaces, so which you can empower your microservice application, such as one of the uh, programming interface we saw is reliability collection in my previous video. So basically, Service Fabric provide three border areas to help to build you deploy your application that use microservice approaches. So first one is a platform that provide system services to deploy, upgrade, detect, and restart failed services, discover services, route messages, manage state, and monitor health. This system services is fact enable many of characteristic of microservices previously described. So what we understand from this thing is very simple. Like basically service provide you or empower you where you can manage your services or container. You can manage your state, you can route your messages from, for example, from one service to other service. You can monitor the health, like in previous demo you can see that it will show you the health of your services. Maybe if something is broken, so it will say that is unhealthy, and so you can going to fix it and make your service healthy. So this kind of thing and orchestration and management console windows provide you the service fabric that you can easily manage. So basically you don't need to worry about the basic infrastructure and all this management thing. The service fabric will take care of you. You only need to just focus on your programming and developing the services. The second thing is the service fabric provide you to ability to deploy application very quickly, either running in container or process. This is very important thing. Like you can basically host your service on the processes of service fabric infrastructure, or you can basically deploy your or run your existing application wrap under the container, some kind of container. I will go in the next slide on this thing. So service fabric is like just a container and process orchestration, as well as is provide you the productive programming API to help you to build application as microservices, ASP.NET Core, reliable actors, and reliable services. Reliable services we just saw in our last video, which provide you the interface to manage your in-memory data and share it across the different nodes. You can choose any code to build your microservices. That's the best thing. Like you can choose your any programming interface or in framework, for example .NET framework core, or maybe the Python or PHP or Java or whatever you like. But these API make the job more straightforward, and they integrate with the platform as a deeper level. This way, for example, you can get health and diagnostic information, or you can take advantage of building high availability. So that's all the Service Fabric do for you. So I just quickly summarize for what exactly do. The Service Fabric is like a container which provide you the infrastructure to where you can host your microservices or container application, deploy it, scale it, manage it, and monitor it, and communicate with one service to other service in very inconvenient way and in an isolated way. Second thing is provide you the some programming APIs which you can use to make your microservice development quick and easy. For example, reliable services or reliable actors, etc. uh, Azure Service Fabric, this is the one of that like diagram which can help you to understand what the Service Fabric provide you. So you can see these are the container microservices, all small hexagon icon. These are your services or containers you deployed on your Service Fabric cluster, and then you can this on underline you can basically manage the lifecycle management of your services and container, always on availability or orchestration where you can configure it, manage it, depend on whatever you need. Programming module, like we said, that library collection and many other thing, it will uh, uh, help you to quickly develop your microservices application. Health and monitoring thing, DevOps tooling, like you can like deploy thing like continuous integration and continuous deployment, and auto scaling. You can scale auto scale your service microservices or containers easily. Just one thing to remember, Service Fabric. In this basically video, I'm more focusing on Azure one, but Service Fabric also available on the on-premises data center or maybe other clouds like AWS or and dev machine, like we just saw in the dev machine in the last video. uh, to like when you install your SDK of Service Fabric, so you can use it Service Fabric to empower your microservice development. I hope you now clearly understand what is the Service Fabric and what is offering you. Okay, some basic concept of regarding the Service Fabric infrastructure. When you're going to develop a microservices, you're going to see everywhere cluster, node, and container. These three terminology you're going to commonly use it, and people are get confused on this thing. So these terminology you need to understand what are these, and these are the infrastructure uh, things powered by Service Fabric. First thing is cluster. Any computer science student know what a cluster is. It is a network connected to set of virtual or physical machine into which your microservices are deployed and managed. Cluster can scale to thousands of machines. So basically, in common definition, a computer clusters is a set of loosely or tightly connected computers that work together so that in many respects they can be viewed as a single system. This is the whole idea of Service Fabric providing the cluster. Now I'm going to discuss this thing. First I'm going to move to the next thing. uh, like going to take the example of e-commerce. For example, in the monolithic application, you're going to deploy your logic layer or logic tier on the one server and data in the other server. That's it. But what happen if you're going to be going to deploy the microservices? uh, I mean, you like your same e-commerce application, and you are decomposing your all the e-commerce functionalities into the services. So, what exactly happened? Like you're going to be deploy each and every service into this single web server on IIS. It's not going to be cost effective. This is the Service Fabric comes here to provide you cluster, and every cluster have the nodes. Basically, nodes are which we refer as a machine, any server or any virtual machine. So nodes are a machine or virtual machine that are part of cluster is called node. Very simple. If someone say node, is you can assume it straight away is a virtual machine or any computer machine. So now it make the things easy for you, like when you decompose your services, so you can deploy your services on the cluster on different node or maybe one node. Deploying all the service on one node is not recommended or ideal. Idea was that you can deploy your services on different nodes and manage it and scale it and deploy it in their isolated environment. So it's make the deployment thing and hosting thing easier. You don't need every web server for every services. It's not cost effective, and communicating from one service to other service in that way is not easy. But if you come into the cluster and service fabric environment, it's become very easy, like because all the nodes in the one cluster, so you can easily know that you can communicate easily by using the different method like http calls or maybe TCP or WebSocket, or any way you can, or maybe the message bus, service message bus, you can communicate to from one service to other service. So this is the main concept of cluster, and the cluster have the nodes. That's it. Third important concept are the containers. What are the containers? So you can deploy existing application, stateless service or stateful services in containers. So for example, you have one of the existing service. Now you have buy the service fabric on Azure or anywhere. Now you're going to be migrate or transfer your existing service from existing web server to the service fabric infrastructure. But the problem is it not going to be work because it don't have the right library install. For example, guest host or fabric.exe or fabric.gateway kind of thing. Library is not installed, so it's not going to work on service fabric. So the best thing, and of course your existing application develop on based on your IIS way, on the IIS. So the idea was for container, like you can uh, basically wrap your application in the container and deploy that container on your service fabric. So service fabric deploy and activate service as a processes, but service fabric can also deploy services in containers. So you can also make services in processes and services in container in the same application. Service fabric support deployment of Linux container, maybe the Docker or Windows container on the Windows server. Docker is also one of the main uh, you know technology nowadays is getting very popular. I'm going to be create another video on the Docker. That's very good. Docker is not only for Linux, it's also for the Windows as well. So this is the whole concept of service fabric. Now we move into the application service fabric concept. Like we have just saw in the last video, like there's application project, and then you have a one stateless services project, and stateful services project within the one solution. So there's a couple of things which you need to be understand. I'm also going to back to the Visual Studio after that. So first thing is application type. The name version assigned to collection of service type. It is defined in application manifest.xml file. You and file and embedded in application package directory. The directory is then copied to service fabric cluster image store. You can create a name application from this application type within the cluster. Application packages are this directory containing the application type, application manifest.xml file reference the services packages for each service type that make up the application type. The file in the application package directory are copied to the service fabric cluster image store. For example, an application package for an email application type might contain reference to a queue service package, a front-end service package, and a database service package. Name application. After you copy an application package to a image store, you create an instance of the application within a cluster. You create an instance when you specify the application package application type by using its name or version. Each application type instance is assigned a uniform resource identifier URI name that looks like such as fabric colon forward slash my name app, or in our case in last video, hello world. Within a cluster you can create a multiple name application from a single application type. You can also create name application from different application type. Each name application is managed and version independently. Okay, this is the one of the thing like application type thing. First, this is a possibility that because on fabric it's a possibility you can host one application on your cluster. It's also possible like you can host multiple application, more than one, like two application or three application. And service fabric understand that by form is application type. It knows that application type 1 is different from application type 2 or application type 3. So this is the here is concept of application type. Now I'm move into the Visual Studio to show you. So this is your application. Basically it contain the basic application configuration, the services you will have. It will manage in your application manifest.xml is come under the application package root. It's also have any other packages which related to your services, for example database or anything email thing. It also have some application parameter. It will tell or configure uh, like cloud or node 1 or node 5 etc. It also have the scripts. Basically this is the PowerShell script. You can change per as your requirement, but usually Visual Studio will handle it for you. It's a PowerShell script, and when you press F5, so this script will run and your service will host it. Okay, so I'll go back to the application manifest. Now you can see here it has the basic information like application type name, so which is hello world type. It's also maintain the version of your application, and it's manage some parameter regarding your services, and it's also created the information of packages of your service, for example hello world stateful package or hello world stateless package. And these are the main attributes. It will tell you like what services you're running, and is basically embed with your services. So if you go and create another one, so it will manage it here. And once you host it, so basically it will be showing that way. It will show that in your cluster, under your cluster you have applications. So it's a possibility like you can have more than one application, maybe hello world, maybe the other e-commerce one, or maybe the back office application etc, or maybe you can have a existing application. You can move from your existing web server to your cluster, so under the container, so you can have another application. And under the application it will have the services in it, and under services it will tell you which service is hosted on which node. So you can basically have configure and monitor the health service. So for example Adobe is telling you on the dashboard is a one node and the one application and two services and partition and replica blah blah blah. And it seems all greens means that it's all healthy, there's no error. If it's any error, so basically it's showing the red. Okay, come back to the my presentation. Now the next thing is the service type. Service type is again nothing but just your services, microservices. And it has the main file called service manifest. I'll go back to my Visual Studio to show you. For example, I go for stateless one, and in package root it's a service manifest.xml. Again, this one you can basically configure and manage your service information. For example, is an entry point, say hello world stateless.exe, and the endpoint. So this is the endpoint basically, which is you can configure with that one, and you can use from this endpoint to communicate with other services. And same is for stateful. If you go package root, you can see there it has own one, so you can also configure each and every services depending on your requirements. Okay, another concept of in the when you work on microservices, so you will commonly hear stateless or stateful. Like in my previous demo, we created stateless services and stateful services. So what are these things? What are these terminologies are? Stateless is use of stateless service when the service persistent state is stored in external storage services such as Azure storage or Azure SQL database or Azure Cosmos DB. So stateless basically don't maintain any state or data thing in the service. If you need that one, uh, you can use any external one, like external storage, like Azure storage or Azure SQL database. There's another important thing to in the microservice, another big feature, like in the monolithic basically it's calling one database, right? But in microservices we can have every service can have their own storage and is hosted on the same node where the your service is. So it's on the it's very close. So in the monolithic basically the your data layer or data storage SQL or Oracle is stored on other server. So basically is a like is a traffic, like your logic layer keep calling your data layer and data layer will respond back. Maybe there's a like if there's heavy load, so could be some delay, or maybe the performance wise is slow. But in microservices, the data is basically every service have their own storage thing. So and deployed on the same node where your services are, so it will be very close from data. There's no latency, or it's always high availability thing be there. And stateful is very again like is a service when you want to service fabric to manage your service state via reliable collection or reliable actor programming model. Like we see that like we can manage our state as using a service fabric API, a reliable collection interface. So you can manage your state in memory state, or this is very good thing. Like most of thing like we can use caching to improve the performance, or getting some temple data to on and off. But here it provide you this reliable collection. You can use that and share across the all the nodes, so it's very good. Okay, let's move on. So like in previous slide, there's a one of the or what you call diagram. So for example, this is the possibility, like in your one service fabric cluster you can have one application and it have one service, and every service is their own code, configuration and data. You have second service, it has own code, config, data, and say same for service 3. This is also a possibility. You can have multiple application 1, application 2 and application 3, and all applications have their own services, and all the services can have their own code, configuration and data. Or maybe if we're talking about stateless one, so maybe it don't have a data, or just a code which provide something functionality. Okay guy, this is all about the service fabric application. I hope you understand. If you have any question, please do let me know, and don't forget to subscribe my channel and like this video. I hope you this is very quick introduction with a practical explanation. So I hope you understand the service fabric and microservice architecture in better way and very quick in the quick uh, session. So I hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments. Thank you. Bye.